We still got 16 teams coming to town to play state hockey.
What level is it, Sean?
Bantam B and Pee Wee B. Yeah, Jim is who has been in contact with me in the past.
Good afternoon. I will call to order the meeting of the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission for the month of March 2021. We are not conducting this meeting via teleconference, so we do not need to discuss the notice for that purpose. We are all the commissioners who are participating today are present in the chamber. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held February 23rd, 2021, and the special meeting held on March 5th, 2021.
I'll second.
Any discussion of that motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Next is our monthly utilities report from our director.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I have just a couple items of note. Just wanted to give you an update. I just received it today about the utility billing and the number of contracts and how things are going. We've had Zone 1 and Zone 2 utility bills go out so far. With Zone 1 and Zone 2, we've got about 70 contracts that have been signed up so far. Zone 3 will go out today. And I did ask, how the calls are going. They're getting several calls an hour, probably. But the majority of the people understand. They're just calling for information. Haven't had a lot of, angry customers calling. So we'll see once Zone 3 goes out, how many additional contracts we have.
What is the largest zone, out of curiosity?
Zone 1 is typically the largest, dollar-wise, because it has all of the industrial customers. I don't know.
They also
do you
have the
know?
most customers in it.
Okay, they also, most residential.
3 is the smallest.
Just a note as well that during that cold snap, the electric production department did end up running number 5 gas turbine for MISO. So we did that on 3 separate occasions. So we submitted that for reimbursement from MISO. And just another couple things with regards to the cold snap. I did meet with the Minnesota Senator Gary Doms and Congressman Jim Hagedorn through Zoom, basically to discuss the effect of the high prices on municipal utilities, and then also testified for the House and State Energy Committee. That was in support of a bill to allocate money to help customers pay their utility bills. And then there's also a portion of that bill for a no-interest loan to help some utilities to pay their high gas supply bills. So I know there's quite a few smaller utilities that are looking to take part of that in that as well. So hopefully that will pass. Engineering-wise, the River Bore project has been through permitting, and the money has now been obligated through the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So that will be at the April meeting for bid acceptance. And the Well Mound and Road project, that another FEMA project, that's in 80% design complete. And so we're working on a hazard mitigation plan for that. The transmission line, the transmission portion of that project is complete and re-energized as of March 11th. So the crews will now return for the distribution underbuild completion. And the wastewater pump and diffuser improvement projects, the temporary construction meeting was held, and the pumps and equipment are being ordered, and shop designs are getting completed. So that's the summary of the director's report. If you have any questions.
Comments?
I'll make a motion to receive and order file the report regarding monthly utility operations.
Second. Is there any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And next, we want to recognize our Employee of the Month, Earl Allen, for the month of February.
Yes, Earl Allen is a wastewater treatment plant operator B. He's Employee of the Month for February 2021. Earl started as a part-time laborer in 2003 and was hired as a full-time Class D operator on July 31st of 2006. He holds a Class B wastewater license and a Type 4 land application license. He's the go-to back lab operator, and he's respected by his other employees. Earl is a very reliable employee who gets along with his coworkers and is willing to do what's needed to get things accomplished. So I'd like to congratulate Earl Allen for Employee of the Month.
Yes, congratulations.
I'll make the motion to recognize Earl Allen, WWTP Plant Operator B with the wastewater treatment plant as Employee of the Month for February 2021.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion of that motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now turning to old business, you have a report regarding the long sewer services research you've.
Yeah, we had planned on bringing this topic back to you after doing some additional research and taking a look at the contract. And so what I wanted to do was basically give you a report. It's an informational report, which basically lays out what we have looked at with regards to the long services and what we can and feel we can't do. So just as some background, about a year ago, there was an issue that was brought to the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission with an emergency repair of a sewer service. The service repair was considered a long service because it was located on the back half of a divided lot on a side street. Since that time, we have put in significant time researching long services and looking for ways to mitigate the impact. The PUC Regulation 601.5 designates that the property owner owns the service from the house to the city main. And in our research, we've found that this regulation is consistent with other cities that we have contacted. So below is the result, or part of this agenda item is the result of the research and the study that we've done. The first thing we did is we developed a frequently asked questions sheet for potential homeowners. And this document was created, and it's available to any individual that is looking to purchase a home in New Ulm. The document right now is located on the city and utility website, and it also had been sent to some of the realtors that could share it in their place of business if they so chose. The document addresses issues that could impact all utilities, so it's not just long sewers, but it has information in water and electric and so forth. So it's available as a tool for anyone that's looking to purchase a home in New Ulm. There was also a question with regards to the cost, and there was a development of a net present value analysis, and this analysis basically compared the cost that it would take if the long services were replaced by the utility, and they were all done, or if the services were replaced by the utility and the homeowner when they failed. And obviously, in looking at that analysis, it's a considerable investment to the utility to do that. There was a couple different scenarios. One was based on interest, one was based on the cost of borrowing. But in both scenarios, whether the utility was replacing them with the failure with the homeowners, or if just the homeowner was replacing it as it failed, the costs were relatively the same, but they were significant. They were in the $30 million range, and so that's a significant investment that the utility would make to replace those long services, and in which this particular item segues into the next item, which was basically to assess repairs against the property. So the thought was the utility could come in, repair them, and then assess it to the property. Property owner could pay it over time. So Assistant City Attorney Borgen sent an Attorney General opinion request to get an advisory opinion on this. We did receive an opinion back from the Minnesota Attorney. He neither authorized or denied the action by applicable statute. So basically, kind of
know
answered
either.
the question. But the big leap here in reading through it is whether the expenditures for the repairs were for public infrastructure and if they were for the greater good of the public. And so what that means is repairs paid for the utility for one property owner cannot be borne by the other property owners. And so while it doesn't seem inherently against statute, it could be open to challenge. The difference between the sewer and the water services, because we do have a water service assessment program, the difference between the two is that the private water lines are specifically mentioned and authorized by statute 429.191. So why they chose to put water in and not sewer, I don't know. They didn't really answer that. But it looks like, you could assess it, but it could actually be open to challenge if somebody chose to challenge that.
Chris, can I ask you a question? Just quick?
Yes, absolutely.
So on this one, and then on number 2, what you were talking about is the overall potential, if the city were to say, let's go out now and fix all of these, you're not talking about separate individually waiting for a failure and then the city pays for it.
Well, it actually was done in both ways. It was
Okay.
done where the city would, it was a net present value analysis, so it was done where the city would go out and fix so many per year.
Okay,
Also, so that would be the one column. The other column would be assuming that so many would fail within a year as well. So it was the cost combination of the two of those. The other analysis was just if the individual property owner assumed, if the utility assumed so many failures per year, what it would cost for the property owner to repair those services on their own.
okay, got it, thanks.
Madam President?
Right.
Yeah,
And Sean did take a look at that analysis, so maybe you have some.
Yeah, and I can jump in just a little bit. So with the analysis, basically, the reason it worked out to be relatively equivalent, if you look at the homeowners doing all the repairs versus the city doing repairs in combination with the homeowners that just didn't get theirs repaired in time, is because in theory you're going to repair streets and repair lines that weren't ready yet to fail. So when you wash all that out, the cost ends up being about the same in either scenario if you just let them fail.
You're saying, this is simply just saying we were trying to see if it would save us money to fix them before they break?
Right.
Okay.
And the answer was, at least the way we looked at the analysis a couple different ways,
Really no.
it did not make sense. It did not really make a difference. Because we'd end up repairing ones that weren't actually going to fail yet,
Okay.
and then having other ones fail.
Madam President, I hate to interrupt, but just curious, perhaps this has been established previously, but Chris, what was the length you were working off of to classify something as a long sewer service? Did you have a specific distance?
Not particularly. Basically, the scenario was that it was on a back half lot,
Okay,
which would need to connect to the north-south street. So it would be a sewer service that's on an west-east street or east-west street connecting to a north-south street.
so it would certainly be in excess of 50 feet.
Yes,
And
yeah, I think
there-
the one that we were looking at was like, oh gosh, I don't remember now. But yeah, it was in excess of 50 feet,
The only
definitely.
other, do you have any estimate how many properties this might apply to?
I think we assume there's about 300 in the
Okay.
city of New Ulm.
Okay,
It kind of goes back to, we assume it's similar, the time frame is around in the 1950s when they started separating those lots, and that's when you ended up with it. We do have some, though, also, where we have sewer services where there's actually two property owners on one sewer as well, so, but yeah, there's about 300 of them out there. So, so also in relationship to this, we took a look at what we could potentially do during road construction. And so one of the options was when we do a north-south road construction, we have plans now to replace the manhole in the north-south sewer mains to a tri-hole manhole, and then add a lateral pipe that would go to the edge of the right-of-way. So that part of the sewer service would then be complete. It would be minimal cost to the utility at the time because the street is already opened up. It's already open to be worked on. And then this would potentially, hopefully reduce the cost somewhat to the homeowner because it would be a certain amount of the street they wouldn't have to reopen up. They wouldn't and then it would also protect our streets because we have situations where you have a east-west or a north-south street that had just been finished and along sewer fails, you're digging up a brand-new street. And so this would potentially help both the homeowner as well as the utility. It would not, however, qualify for long water sewers services because we don't want to have dead-end water main out in the street. Another change that we decided to make was we're going to allow directional boring of service lines. We haven't been doing that in the past, but there's been a lot of change with technology, and with that improvement, we think that trenchless installations could be really a cost-effective savings for people that are in this situation. The caveat is we have to be able to get the proper grade. But this could potentially help homeowners save money that way as well. The other thing another item that we'd like to include in this whole process is the NLC service line warranty that was brought to you a while back. We've done some additional checking. We've gotten the agreement to the city attorney. He is fine with that, and that will be an item, the next item. But this is an option. This is a program that would help. While it may not pay for the entire long service, it certainly will go a long way in helping individuals with that cost. And the final item we came up with was the single-family rehab loans. There could potentially be some funding that would be available through the city of New Ulm. This, of course, would be based on qualifications or availability. It's a first-come, first-served type of situation. But it could be used for the repair of long water and sewer services. So the first 6 items that I identified on this informational sheet would have minimal budgetary impacts to New Ulm, the public utilities. Number 7, there would be some impact. It would be, though, to the City of New Ulm funds through their rehabilitation loan fund, which is capped at $40,000. So there could potentially be money available for people to use that. So this is the plan that we've kind of come up with to deal with long services with what we feel we're capable of doing and what's allowable. So if you have any questions, I can.
So you're basically, you're going to go ahead with this and then subject to the next agenda item, our approval of that.
Yeah, that item we need approval for. The other items were operational changes, the construction.
Sure.
We worked with engineering as to what they felt was possible. And again, with engineering on the trenchless installations, we wrote up a procedure and what's required and what needs to be done in order for a property owner to be able to do that. The only other thing, I guess, would be the assessments, if you want to go that route. But again, not necessarily making that recommendation to do that.
So, like you said earlier, the history is that we had a homeowner with a significant bill, and as a result of that situation, the commission asked you to research, and, I mean, the staff recommended, let's look at some options for how we could help our consumers a little bit buffer these costs, or at least, the first step was educating people.
Right,
Right, that's the
right.
FAQs. So thanks, I think this looks great. I guess I'm not inclined to want to pursue the assessment process. I think part of the research you did a year ago, when this first kind of came up, included a kind of a survey of other similar cities. And you mentioned that in your comments or in your report to us, that our situation is consistent, that the homeowner is responsible for those prices.
Yeah,
Or for those costs.
it's very consistent. Everybody that I talked to, you know, they had similar, maybe, you know, the situation may not have been exactly the same where they had a split lot with two houses, but anytime they had a longer service, you know, regardless, it was always from the house to the main. I don't know that I had any of them where the utility helped pay for that, because, you know, that's the regulation. I think it goes to the whole, whether it's individual to a individual property owner, or if it's for the better good of the utility. I think that's where it kind of stands with that.
Yeah, I think without a more clear direction on whether we could do that, the assessment idea doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to receive and order filed the informational report regarding research and steps to inform customers and mitigate the impact of long sewer services on New Ulm public utility customers.
I'll s-
Any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then next is to discuss that service warranty program that you just referenced.
You know, just as some background again, this is a program that is offered by utility service partners, and it's in relationship with the National League of Cities, and it's also endorsed. Well, it's endorsed by them as well as members of the League of Minnesota Cities Business Leadership Council. So this particular program has been vetted already. And what we're asking for is not necessarily to be part of the program. We're not going to be administering the program. We won't be setting anybody up on this program. All the utility is asking, or all we're asking for is for you to sign a marketing program. So basically what they'll do is they will send out letters to the residents of New Ulm, and it'll have the logo of the PUC on it, but it will clearly say, the logo will be on the very first letter, and everything else will have the logo of the utility service partners. And so in just explaining what this is the program is out there, and it will educate property owners about their service line responsibilities. So it's going to tell them, many people don't know that they own from the house to the service main, and so it educates them about that. And then it also will help residents with the out-of-pocket expenses if their water or sewer service should fail. So there's a few bullet points here. It says it provides homeowners affordable protection against significant and unexpected costs, ensures the delivery of timely and high-quality repair, provides exemplary service that reflects positively on the utility. The program will generate an ongoing sustainable source of revenue for partner municipalities. So what that means is that for every one of these services that our customers sign up for, the utility will receive a royalty of 50 cents per product per month, just for the use of our logo on that particular document. And the NLC program offers basically 3 complete and separate voluntary programs. The first 2 programs are what's going to be mailed out to the customers, and that's the water service program and the sewer service program. There's a third program as well, which is basically in-house plumbing. That basically is signed up through their website or calls that this company will make to the customers. The utility isn't necessarily endorsing that particular product, but we are endorsing the water and sewer service. So for the exterior water service line, when someone signs up for this particular product, it would include service to locate, excavate, and repair and replace a leaking exterior water service line. It includes, but not limited to, leaks, breaks, corrosions, blockage, root intrusion. And then it also includes the thawing of frozen water services, which we have an issue here in New Ulm, well, in Minnesota, with frozen water lines as well. And then they will come back in and restore and reinstall any existing soft landscaping, shrubbery, patching of paved surfaces. The exterior service line is basically the same. It takes care of the same types of things: locate, excavate, repair, and replace, and root intrusions, all of the same things as the water. And then what happens is the service line program will utilize the utility logo to brand the material that's used to educate the customers about the repair service plan. So the marketing literature will be sent out. It will clearly disclose, though, that the program and the utility are separate entities. And so it'll clearly say that the New Ulm only supports this program, that it's a third party, and we do not implement it. What the product basically is for an external water service line coverage. It's $5.75 monthly. It's an annual unlimited coverage limit, unlimited calls, and you get $8,500 per call. So if let's say you have a plug in your water line or your sewer line, someone would come out. They may choose to clear it with a jetter. Maybe then 6 months later, your water service fails. That would be a separate call. So it's $8,500 per call. For the external sewer line, it's $775. Again, unlimited calls for the year, and it's, well, actually for the program, and it's $8,500 per call. There's a 30-day waiting period, I believe. Once you start, you need to wait 30 days. So this was presented at the December 22nd commission meeting. We tabled it because the assistant city attorney had not been able to review the full agreement. He has, the city attorney now has done that and is comfortable with it. I have included an example of the information that will be sent. That clearly is just an example. You know, the utility will have an opportunity to change any wording or anything like that prior to them sending it out. I had, maybe if you can remember from the December meeting, I had contacted several cities that had signed up for this program. All of them had good things to say about the company itself. The biggest problem they had with it was phone calls. And they said that once the marketing material goes out, there is some confusion with individuals on who actually endorses the or whose program it actually is.
You're saying people call the city?
Yeah,
for quite-
yeah. And so what that would take is the utility having that number on hand and saying, you know, this is not our program, this is the number you need to call. Because the utility won't do anything. It won't sign people up, won't do anything. We'll just pass them on to the next call. One of the other questions was in relationship to the contractors in New Ulm. and whether or not they had to go to a special rate. There isn't a special rate that's necessary. The company will call the contractors, they'll talk with them, they'll see if they want to be part of it. They just ask that they know what their rates are ahead of time. And so they're not required to do it. But if they want to be part of the program, then they just have to do that.
Chris, I didn't hear what you said. The contractors have to go with their price, or they just set their own price?
The contractors have their own price. The company just requests that they know what that price is prior to
Thank you.
setting up. Because, they kind of have a guideline of where they think prices would be. But my understanding is they're not required, there's no set price for services. So I guess I recommend signing up for it. I realize there may be some confusion with customers, but I think that we can handle that. I think the benefit of having this option out there for people, there's not a lot of insurance companies that do it. From my experience, I had called a few of them. Some of them they do, but if your water sewer service is so old, then the coverage is limited. Some haven't even looked at doing it. So I think this is an opportunity. It's a totally voluntary. If the utility would decide at some point that they no longer want to participate, they don't want to have our logo on it, we can do that. But that coverage still stays with the customers. So the customers won't lose out on anything. We do, however, have to sign up for a 3-year original commitment. But after that, if the program is just too much work for us, or, we could bow out, but our customers still could have the benefit of the program. One other thing I forgot to mention is one of the things in here was giving our information out, our customers' information out. We won't do that. They'll get the information through public records. So there'll be no data problems from that standpoint.
So when a customer signs up, is the monthly billing would not show up on their utility bill? It would be a separate
It's
bill.
a separate billing. Yep, it comes, they work through that with this company. They can pay monthly, quarterly, or annually,
Okay.
however they choose. Yep, there'll be nothing on our utility bill for this.
And you said you'd called insurance companies, you meant, you discovered that homeowners insurance generally does not cover the services that this product would cover, right? That's what you-
Generally not.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And Madam President, Commissioners, I did have a chance I've reviewed the agreement. I've negotiated with the company. They did make some changes at my request, primarily in 3 areas. We wanted to make sure they understood the limitations that we have as far as private data, and so they aren't expecting that we're going to be doing anything that would violate the citizens' rights to keep their data private. In addition, they have some language in here where they can assign this contract, and I was not real comfortable with that. So what they did agree to is if they were to assign this, we can terminate on 30 days' notice. So if there's a bad company that takes over and we're getting reports of complaints, we can shut down our involvement in this thing. And the other thing that I had them put in was there was nothing in there really about reporting the customers. So they owe us a monthly license, but they weren't obligated to verify the number of accounts they have. So now they're at least annually they have to do that. So if we want to, we can audit what we're getting paid. But otherwise, if you want to do the deal, the contract looks fine.
I'm comfortable with it. I think the prices are reasonable for, it's expensive to have any of those things done. So I'm going to make a motion to authorize the city manager to accept the royalty marketing agreement with Utility Service Partners Incorporated, USP, endorsed by the National League of Cities, NLC, to educate property owners about their service line responsibilities and to help residents with the out-of-pocket expense for unanticipated and potentially costly service line repairs and replacements.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, and now I think we have George Brown to tell us about a violation.
Good afternoon. So I have a couple of documents. This document here that you see here is the one that's from the state of Minnesota. It's a standard monitoring violation form that you have to be used. And if you read it, it's indicating that we did not monitor, or we failed to monitor completely during the compliance period. So every month we collect 15 samples for bacteria tests in our system. And in this particular time frame, and I'll give you more details on it, we collected 15 samples, but there was a mix-up at the lab. The lab only picked up 14 samples out of the box and left one, and our operator didn't realize that until he got back to the plant. The lab didn't notify him of that until it was too late for us to do anything to change it. So this is a violation that is actually, if you read it, what does this mean to me? It's not an emergency. You do not need to use an alternative source of water at this time. And so in this, we're going to send this and this out with the utility bills, and we're going to have a couple of other places where we'll have to do it, because it's a public notice. We have to do this. It's required by state and federal law. But we can send a letter, and normally in other instances where I've seen these things, you have an opportunity to say what happened and what you've done to make sure it doesn't happen again. So that's what this letter is from the Public Utilities letterhead. One of the things we're saying was, just as I said, it was a laboratory mess up. It was partly our mix-up because we didn't check the box to see that there was one sample that wasn't picked up. We are going to talk to the lab because there's a chain of custody thing. We fill out and we say how many samples there are. They got to fill out and say how many samples did they pick up. They said they picked up 15, but they only tested 14, and we didn't get the notice. So, that thing is, even though the monitoring notice that is worded this way says, because we did not monitor or failed to monitor completely we did not know if bacteria was present in your drinking water. In this case, we know out of 15 samples, 14 were submitted. All of them were clear. There wasn't any bacteria in it. So there was, as far as I'm concerned, at no time was there any threat to public health. When we're taking changes in how we collect these samples, we've talked to the Department of Health about it. We've been routinely picking them up later in the month. Well, in this case, that didn't give us an opportunity to catch this. And so we weren't notified until the following month that the samples weren't delivered. So we're changing how we collect them. We're going to collect them earlier in the month, which will give us time to correct this kind of thing from happening. We're going to be more aware of how we're delivering them and the chain of custody exchange, and that we will be making sure that we know exactly how many samples are there. We could take these samples as 3 groups of 5 if we wanted to, or we can do one day at the beginning of the month and get 15 samples. The state doesn't really care how we do that. So this is what we're going to put in the billing. So we get this out. This communication being is on community television. That covers some of our requirements for notification. And we'll probably put up a copy of this first notice, probably at City Hall and probably at the library, a couple places like that. So, any questions about that?
George, was there any associated fine with
No.
the violation?
No, because it was a monitoring violation. Even if it was if we got 2 or 3 of these in a couple months, there would be a fine. If it had been if we had submitted samples and they turned out that they had bacteria in them, say even just one of them had bacteria, and we'd have to go out and do retesting right away. We've got like 24 hours to do it. And if we can't get it to clear up, and we continue to get, the state comes down and helps us, but we would have a boil water notice then, where everybody would have that option to not drink the water. They'd boil the water. And even then, there wouldn't be a fine unless we were willfully ignoring what we were supposed to be doing.
Thank you.
And there's nobody at the water department that's going to willfully ignore something like this. They've all got water licenses, and the water licenses that they have are issued by Department of Health. Department of Health can pull those licenses, and then they don't have a job.
How big are these water samples, just out of curiosity? Is it a vial? Is it?
100 milliliters.
Okay, so it's pretty small.
Right. Any other questions?
Okay. I'll offer the motion to receive and order filed the Water Department notice of monitoring violation concerning submission and analysis of regular bacteria samples.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Let's see. Raw water main reroute project at the, I was gonna say at the wastewater treatment plant. That's the next one. That's Windows, sorry. ahead.
Yeah, I will present this as Dan was unable to come. This is the raw water main reroute for the old water plant that was on 12th North Street. That plant was sold to a private party back in August of 2020, and part of the sale was that the utility needed to reroute the raw water lines for the north well field. They actually went underneath that building. And so we have gone out for bid for that project, and we got two bids. The low bid was G&M Contracting out of Lake Crystal for $216,443.57. And we're asking that that the commission accept that bid and allow the city manager to sign the proposal.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to accept the proposal from GM Contracting Incorporated for construction services for the raw water main reroute project in the amount of $216,443.57.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we have our wastewater project.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a budgeted item for 2021. It's to replace the doors and windows in the two exterior entrances at the plant control building, which is located at 3 Tower Road, and also the replacement of windows at the 20th Street South Lift Station located at 1911 South Valley Street. All of these doors and windows that are being replaced are original from the 1975 building construction. So clearly they have outlived their life. So we're asking that you accept the quote from Najbus Glass in the amount of $64,064.50.
I'll make the motion to authorize wastewater staff to accept the quote from Nosbush Glass Company to replace windows and doors at the wastewater control building and 20th Street South lift station, the amount of $64,064.50.
I'll second.
Any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Sign. Motion carries. And then we have some surplus property to consider.
Yes, this is, the electric, gas, and water departments have added some items to the surplus list. There's some pole mount transformers, some meters, and then some miscellaneous equipment. I think all of the items have a value behind them. If there's no value, then it's scrap value. So we're just asking to declare this surplus so we can dispose of it as appropriate.
I'll make a motion to declare the electric distribution, gas, and water district energy equipment as surplus property and authorize disposition pursuant to the requirements of the city code and charter.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then finally, we have our claims and estimates for the month.
I'll offer the motion to consider I'll offer the motion to accept the list of claims paid in the amount of $11,486,004.37.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carried as well. Any other comments by the commissioners tonight?
Goodbye.
Okay, I guess we're adjourned.
Who writes that last motion? That last motion always gets me.